Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and today we're going to go over 9 must-have LLC operating agreement provisions. In this video, we're going to cover 9 essential provisions that every LLC operating agreement should include. Whether you're just starting a new business or looking to update your current operating agreement, these key elements will help you protect your interests and clarify the structure of your LLC. So watch now to ensure your operating agreement is comprehensive and legally sound. Subscribe for more tax and legal tips by first off, liking and clicking the subscribe button. Number 1, an estimated 90% and everywhere from 70 to 90, I don't want to be too dramatic, of businesses have been structured incorrectly or have no practical legal effect. This means the owners pretty much threw money away. It's like buying boat insurance for a car. You think you have insurance, but you don't. You don't even own the boat. You've set something up and it gives you no benefit. You need to have a structure. What is the operating agreement? Well, the courts recognize entities as a separate person, a separate entity, but it needs a body. The entity needs something that's not you. No body, nothing for the court to recognize, and they look at you. This works both ways, inside liability for the business and outside. So let's say you and a buddy open a business. Let's call it Pizza Emporium. You buy ovens, make a bunch of money, and then one day someone comes in and takes it all away. Why? Your buddy did not pay his bills and they came and took your stuff. Can they do that? Yes, unless you have an entity. Let's do the flip side. You serve some bad pizza at the Pizza Emporium and people get sick. They sue the business and they go and take your personal assets away. They garnish you till you're dead and then they go after your estate. Can that happen? Absolutely. Why did that happen? No entity, no operating agreement. What could go wrong? Lawsuits, divorce, your kids do something, you get sick, you pass away. There's a 100% chance something's going to happen. So you need an operating agreement or you'll have a mess at some point. So you need one, and here's a list of what they need to have. And these are the 9 things all LLC operating agreements need to have. So let's dive in. Number 1. Organizational matters. What does that mean? The LLC name, its principal address, its purpose, the registered agent, the term of the LLC. Is it existing for 20 years? Is it perpetual? How is it taxed? And why do we need this? We need it for legal clarity. You establish the LLC as a separate legal entity. You want to help affirm its existence and its limited liability protection. Number 2 is the identification. Clearly identifying the LLC's name and address prevents confusion with other entities and ensures proper legal correspondence. The purpose statement, defining the business, that helps promote the outline of the operation and can be important for regulatory compliance. The jurisdiction is critical. Specifying the state of formation is crucial for understanding the applicable laws and regulations governing that particular LLC. How about the tax framework? What kind of taxation are we using? Because LLCs don't exist for federal tax purposes. They borrow somebody else's identity. All of those things need to be addressed. Number 2, membership matters. What does that mean? Well, you want to first off, LLCs don't have shareholders. They have members. And you want to be able to identify the members, what they contributed, and their ownership percentages. It needs to be in writing. You want to document the ownership. You want to document exactly what they contributed and the percentage that they own. And this is important for things like distributions. Although you can draft around distributions. We could be a 50-50 owner, but I could be entitled to more distribution than you. Believe it or not, you can actually do this. What about capital calls? When do you have to put more money in? Hey, can we borrow money or can you loan money? What about dilution? Hey, somebody comes in and puts more money and makes my interest go from 10% to 8%. How about how to add new members? Can someone transfer their interest? Do you really want your business partner, for example, to transfer to somebody else without your knowledge? What about estate planning? What happens if somebody passes or gets, God forbid, has an issue and they're no longer competent? What about rights of first refusals between the members? How about what if somebody sells out a minority interest? What are the duties of the members? What about like a non-compete or non-competitive activities? What about divorce, death, or other court matters when you end up with a judge involved? And what are the remedies if there are breaches? Do you get expelled? Do you get removed? Is there a mechanism for that? Well, your operating agreement should handle that for membership matters. Number 3, distributions. This is a big one. What are the guidelines for profit and loss distributions among members? When do dollars come out to the members? When do you get your money back that you contributed? When are profits distributed? Who gets to make that decision? What about charging order protections? If you have a creditor, are we required to give them money? How about non-pro rata distributions? We've seen enough lawsuits on this before. If you don't have it documented, you have problems. What about in-kind distributions? Do we have to just give cash or can we give assets? And what happens if we sell off assets? Are there triggering events where there's going to be mandatory distributions, or how do I get my money? Those are all things that you have to document inside that operating agreement. Number 4, how about management? Whether the LLC is member managed or manager managed, along with the roles and responsibilities, we need to document it. What is manager managed? It means, hey, we can have an outside party be the manager, or we could elect somebody to be the manager, but it's not the members. In other words, we could have a LLC with 4 members, 1 manager. We could even have an entity be the manager. What if it's manager managed? What are the rules? Who gets to make the decisions? What if you have deadlocks? Is it in your articles? Is it consistent between the operating agreement and what you filed with the state? What about expulsions or removals, or you fire somebody? Are they still in charge? Can they resign? What if they go bankrupt? Do they need to have bonding or insurance? Do we indemnify them? Do they have to indemnify the company if they do something wrong? What powers do they have, and what requires approval of the other members? Let's say you do have a manager. Do we have to get unanimous consent? Can they delegate their management activities? What if they breach their duty to the LLC? What are the remedies? That all should be contained inside that operating agreement, and it should be documented. Number 5, meetings. And I'm going to add a little bit. Meetings and voting rights. We need to have provisions for who gets to vote on important decisions, and whether there's a quorum requirement or a higher voting threshold like supermajorities. Who has the authority to vote? Under what circumstances? Are there other limitations? For example, if you have a creditor coming in for a member, do they get to vote? What matters do they get to vote on? And again, we want to know whether it's a quorum, which is a simple majority, a supermajority, or when are decisions that are required unanimous? When do they require everybody has to agree? Well, that's what we want to have documented in our operating agreement. Number 6, dissolution. Even the best situation can come to an end. And so we want to have documented conditions and procedures for the dissolution of the LLC, including how its assets are distributed. How do we want to shut it down? Under what circumstances? What is the procedure to terminate so that the liabilities do not follow the members? In other words, if we don't follow our operating agreement, or we don't have something documented, and we do something, are we opening ourselves up to where a third-party creditor can now say personal liability, and they start trying to pierce that veil? We want to make sure our operating agreement covers it and that we follow the operating agreement. Something else you want to have, indemnification. Making sure I could spell it right? These are provisions for indemnifying the members and managers against certain types of liabilities. It limits liabilities of the members and managers, so people will want to actually invest or be an investor in it or be a manager. It sets out that the company is liable for the acts and must indemnify, but we want it to be very, very clear and documented. We want it to be clear that the extent of a member's exposure are to the assets of the LLC, for example, and not that they could come after them personally. That's really critical, and we want it documented in the operating agreement. Because what happens is, even if state law allows us to restrict it, but then we do something else, we get something off the internet, or we conflict with what's that statute, we can have an issue. So what you want to do is make sure you document in that operating agreement the provisions that you want to be effective for those members and the most effective provisions. We do not want to undo a statute, for example, and cause liability for ourselves because of a sloppily drafted operating agreement. Number 8, how about amendments? This happens. What happens if we want to amend the operating agreement? What if we want to make changes to it? What if after our experience, after 10 years of doing business together, we realize, hey, we want to document some other things? What are the processes for doing that? What are the procedures? Who has to agree? Is it something a manager can decide? Is it something that requires all the members to sign off on? We want to make sure that we're documenting it. Why? Because if we document it, then we can follow it and we can avoid having massive disputes. Speaking of disputes, that's number 9. Disputes. We want to have alternative dispute resolutions and binding processes to resolve matters quickly if there's an issue. We want to make sure that if we're going to use mediation, it's documented. If there's arbitration, that it has a binding effect so we can keep out of courtrooms. What I've noticed over the years, many years I've been doing this, over 25 years, and worked with tens of thousands of different investors and companies. No good happens inside those courtrooms. It's so rare. Generally speaking, it's a money dump. So we want to stay away from those courtrooms and away from protracted litigation because it can be so costly emotionally and financially on everybody involved. You want a written procedure for how we resolve things, and you want to give somebody the ability to have binding effect so you can have it. This is for all of us that are involved in a business. We want to make sure that we can move on with our life, and so often litigation can be 4, 5, 6 years plus, especially in commercial disputes involving businesses. We want it to be done quickly, and you can do that by putting effective provisions in your operating agreement. So you want to get the benefits of your entity. You want the tax, legal, and estate planning benefits. Remember, entities don't die. You can create perpetual entities. Then you need to have an operating agreement. So here's what I would suggest. Go to Anderson's Tax and Asset Protection Workshop. We do a free one-day workshop where you can learn all about LLCs, land trusts, corporations, how they work, things you need to be aware of, what types of provisions you need to have in those documents. Or if you're somebody who's already in business or knows you want to be in business, then just get on the phone with us. You can have a free consultation. There's a link included with this video. You can just get on the phone and talk to somebody about your operating agreement, whether you need one drafted or whether you need one reviewed. Anderson is here to help you. All you got to do is click that link. The other thing you could do to help me is subscribe and like, and even more importantly, leave your comments down below. I actually read the comments, and if there's a topic or something you want me to clarify, I will do so. Anderson's here to help you. Please take action. Make sure you have an operating agreement with those 9 essential provisions.